At my mother's birthday, I walked in with a cake my kids helped bake. My dad met me at the door and said, "Don't make this about you." I nodded, set the cake down, and left. 15 minutes later, I got a text from my brother. "Why did the bank decline Mom's card?" I replied, "She said not to make it about me." So I didn't. 2 hours later, my dad showed up at my door, furious. I opened it, said, "I don't know why I still let myself hope for anything with them. I should have known better. But this year felt different, or at least I told myself it would be. My mom was turning 55, and I'd spent months planning something that might finally mean something. Or at least show them that I was still trying. She was never the warm type. When she left us, I was 10. Disappeared for 6 years, came back like nothing had happened, and pretended I was just part of the background. My dad didn't protest. He never did. And my younger brother, Jeremy, born after she came back, was the reset button. Everything went to him: attention, affection, expectations. I was the family's old news. But I thought maybe a gesture would shift something. Maybe if I gave enough, it would finally be enough. So for her 55th birthday, I saved up and bought her a car. Nothing flashy, but new, practical, clean. I imagined how it would feel to surprise her, give her the keys after dinner, tell her it was from me and the kids. My two had spent the morning helping me bake a cake, chocolate hazelnut, her favorite. They were proud of it. We even wrote, "Happy birthday, Grandma," in messy blue icing. I told them this would be a special day. We pulled up to the house around 5. I was carrying the cake. My kids ran ahead, buzzing with excitement. I barely made it to the front steps before the door opened and my dad was standing there. No smile, no welcome. He just looked at me, said, "Don't make this about you." That was it. No happy birthday. No hello. Just that line, like I was some kind of interruption to their party. I didn't say anything. Walked into the kitchen, set the cake down on the counter, turned to my kids and said we were heading back home. They were confused but followed me. I didn't explain. I didn't need to. 15 minutes later, I got a text from Jeremy. "Why did the bank decline Mom's card?" I texted back. "She said not to make it about me." So I didn't. 2 hours later, I opened the front door to find my dad standing there, red-faced, breathing hard. He didn't even wait. Just started shouting about how I embarrassed them, made a scene, ruined her birthday. Said I always do this. Always make it about myself. I let him finish. Then I walked over to the counter, opened the drawer, pulled out the key fob, and held it up. It still had the dealership tag on it. He froze. He knew exactly what it meant. I told him the car was parked 2 blocks away. It was supposed to be her surprise. But I'd left instead, because clearly, today wasn't supposed to be about me. His whole mood changed. Suddenly soft, polite. Said the kids should come back. Grandma was asking for them. Maybe we could all just move on. I said we weren't coming. He tried again, said they were just tired, not thinking clearly. That I misunderstood. Then he left, quieter than he arrived. That night, I saw their Facebook post. Tons of pictures of the party. The cake we made was in every one. But they'd removed me from the family group. I wasn't tagged. And the caption? "So sad our beloved son couldn't make it today. We missed you." It was disgusting. And now I had this expensive car sitting outside, mocking the idea that I could ever buy my way into being part of this family. I didn't know what to do with it. I just knew I wasn't giving it to them. I didn't sleep much that night after the Facebook post. It stayed in my head like a buzzing fly. Those fake smiles, that cake front and center in all the pictures, the caption. "So sad our beloved son couldn't make it today. We missed you." I stared at it until I couldn't anymore. Then I went outside and looked at the car. Still parked on the side street, still spotless, still not for them. The next morning was quiet, thankfully. I dropped the kids off at school, made some coffee, sat down at the kitchen table and tried to talk myself into thinking it would all blow over. Around 10, I heard the knock. It was my mom. I hadn't seen her at my door in over 5 years. I opened it and there she was, holding a cheap plastic basket wrapped in cellophane. Store-bought muffins. The kind with that weird chemical lemon smell. She smiled like we were old friends bumping into each other by chance. Said she was just in the area. I asked if everything was all right. She shrugged. Said she just wanted to say hi. Asked if the kids were home. I told her they were at school. She acted surprised, like it was shocking that kids were in school at 10 on a weekday. Then she handed me the muffins, said maybe she'd drop off some old children's books next time. I said okay, and she left. That was it. The next day, it was my dad. Showed up holding a new Lego set, one of those $80 Star Wars ones. He said he got it on sale. Like that explained everything. Then he asked if the kids were around. Same pattern. Smiled awkwardly. Said maybe we should swing by sometime for dinner. He even asked about my job, which he hadn't done since I was 24 and working night shifts at the gas station. Said I looked like I was doing well. The following day, it was her again. This time with a box of chocolates and a book of Sudoku puzzles she said my son might like. Then my dad again, this time with 2 pizzas and a comment about how I must be busy and probably don't have time to cook. Every time they came, they asked about the kids first. Every time, they acted like the past decade hadn't happened. No apology. No reference to the party. No mention of the car. But I saw the glances. My dad lingered at the front window once, said, "That yours?" while nodding vaguely toward the driveway. I just said yeah. It was parked out there now. I'd moved it from the street. No plates on it yet, dealership sticker still in the window. I wanted them to see it. Let them wonder. The kids, of course, were thrilled. My daughter lit up when my mom brought over a stack of old fairy tale books. My son couldn't stop talking about the Lego set. I didn't say anything. I didn't tell them what this really was. I wasn't going to put that on them. For 7 years, my kids were invisible to them. No babysitting offers. No random visits. Jeremy's son, Nathan, had 3 bikes before he turned 8. My daughter was still using the scooter we found at a garage sale. Jeremy's family got Disney trips. Mine got a belated birthday card with the name misspelled. And now they were dropping by every day, asking if they could take the kids out. For a few hours sometime. Laughing louder than they needed to. Talking about how much they missed family time. I didn't argue. I didn't call them out. Because I knew exactly what they were doing. They thought they could earn it back. Thought if they played perfect grandparents for a few weeks, I'd forget everything. That I'd hand them the keys with a smile and thank them for finally showing up. I made no promises. I gave no signals. And they weren't getting that car. Not after 55 years of rewriting history. It had been nearly 3 weeks of the same routine, daily visits, forced smiles, surprise, gifts, and over-the-top praise for the kids. They never stayed long, just enough to be seen, to leave something behind, to plant a little more doubt in my children's minds about who their grandparents really were. I played along. I wasn't rude. I didn't argue. But I didn't encourage it either. Then one Tuesday afternoon, something shifted. My mom showed up again, unannounced, but this time she had Nathan with her, Jeremy's son. She said they were on their way to a dentist appointment nearby and thought they'd just stop in. Nathan ran inside like he owned the place, didn't even say hi. Headed straight for my son's room and shut the door behind him. 10 minutes later, my son walked into the living room holding one of his comic books, ripped in half. I stared at him. He didn't cry. Just stood there quietly and said, "Nathan said it was boring." I walked to the hallway and opened the door. Nathan was sprawled out on the bed playing with my son's Switch. My mom was sitting in the kitchen pretending to read the Sudoku book she gave us last week. I told her we were done for today. She didn't move at first. Just kept her eyes on the book and said, "You don't have to overreact." I said it again, slower. "We're done." She stood up without a word, called Nathan, and left. Didn't even close the door. The next day, no one showed up. Or the day after that. Then Thursday evening, around dinner time, I got a knock at the door. I opened it, and both my parents were standing there, arms crossed. I could feel it before they spoke. This wasn't a visit. My dad started first. Said they were tired of playing games. Said they'd been generous, thoughtful, even apologetic, and that I was still holding some kind of grudge. My mom jumped in and said I was raising my kids to be bitter and isolated. That I needed to stop using the past to justify being selfish. Then she asked about the car. Just like that. No pretense. No smile. She asked, flat out, if it was still meant for her, or if I was planning to just keep it sitting there out of spite. I didn't say anything for a long time. The kids were in the other room again. I could hear them giggling, completely unaware. Then I told them the truth. I had wanted to get along. I really did. And that it hurt more than I could admit that things turned out like this. I went to the drawer, pulled out the keys, and held them up again, same as the last time. But this time, I didn't just show them. I tossed them on the table and said, "This is what you lost the second you told me not to make it about me." They stared at the keys. And then, like someone flipped a switch, my dad changed his tone. Said I was being dramatic. Asked if the kids wanted to go to Grandma's. Said she was waiting for them. Said Nathan would be there, and they had cake from the bakery this time. Smiled like nothing had just happened. I shook my head and said they weren't going. He laughed, short and fake, and said, "You know they're still waiting for you, right? They're just a little annoyed. That's all." I didn't reply. Just waited. Eventually they left. Not angry this time. Just confused. Or maybe rattled. Later that night, they posted again on Facebook. More party photos. Another forced caption. "It's a pity our beloved son couldn't come. We saved him a slice." I tried to ignore it. But then I saw something else. My account had been removed again. And this time, my daughter came up to me and asked why Grandma said online that I didn't come because I had more important things to do. I didn't even know how to explain that to a child. That was the moment I knew this wasn't about the car anymore. This was about control, reputation, narrative. And they were losing all of it. By the end of the third week, the pattern was clear. They'd stopped trying. No more daily visits. No more drop-ins with puzzles or muffins or boxes of cereal they pretended were special. No more feigned interest in bedtime stories or school projects. My front step, once used as their stage, was quiet again. Peaceful. But cold. At first, I thought maybe they finally understood. Maybe they took a hard look in the mirror and saw what I saw. But then Saturday came. Around 10 a.m., just as I was dragging the trash bins back from the curb, they pulled up in their car. I didn't even have time to pretend I wasn't home. They got out like nothing had happened. My mom was holding a potted plant, some kind of lavender thing, and my dad had a shiny new soccer ball tucked under his arm. He smiled and said something about the weather. My mom held up the plant and called it a peace offering. Then my dad said they were thinking of taking the kids to the park, that Nathan was already there with Jeremy, and wouldn't it be nice for the cousins to play together? I stood still, my hands still on the trash bin. I told them we had plans. My dad dropped the act first. His face hardened. He said they were getting tired of coming by all the time and getting nothing in return. Said it was clear I didn't want peace, that I was still stuck in the past. My mom followed. Said they had done more than enough lately, gifts, visits, time. She said I needed to let go of whatever I was holding on to. Then she asked, again, about the car. Not directly. Just, "So, what's happening with it? Are you still deciding?" That's when I lost the last bit of patience I had. I told them I never wanted things to be like this. That I tried for years to be seen. And when they didn't see me, I tried even harder for them to see my kids. And still, nothing. I said if this was all just some campaign to get a reward, then it could stop right now. The keys were off the table. I told them flat out, if they wanted to be in my kids' lives, they were welcome. But if they were only here because they thought a car might fall into their laps, they could leave. And they did. But not before my dad turned back and said, "You know what, Kurt? You've made this so much harder than it needed to be." I didn't say a word. Monday came. Then Tuesday. No calls, no visits. The silence felt familiar now. And this time, I knew it was permanent. Then I found out through a neighbor, because of course it was a neighbor, that my parents had told people I'd refused to reconnect. That I'd pushed them away after they tried so hard. Jeremy backed up the story. Said I had issues with the family, said I was still bitter. And that's when the gifts stopped for the kids. Not just the visits, everything. My daughter's birthday came and went. No card, no call. My son asked if Grandma forgot him. I didn't know how to answer that without breaking something inside me. I caught myself staring at the car again that night. I'd been so proud when I bought it. Worked overtime, saved every extra dollar, skipped vacations. It wasn't even for me. That was the worst part. It never had been. Now it was just parked there, doing nothing. Just a reminder. I started looking up return policies. I didn't expect them to vanish completely. But they did. One day they were showing up with picture books and promises. The next they were gone like they'd never existed. No more texts. No calls. No awkward attempts to drop off leftovers or ask about the kids' school projects. They went silent and stayed that way. At first, I thought they were just regrouping, maybe trying a new angle. But weeks passed. My daughter's birthday came. Nothing. No. Oops, we forgot. Not even a Facebook post. That's when it really hit the kids. My daughter asked me that night if Grandma was mad at her. I told her the truth. That none of this was her fault. That sometimes grown-ups make strange decisions when they don't get what they want. But I could tell she didn't really understand. How could she? The funny thing was, their absence felt almost louder than their presence had. There was no family left now. Jeremy and I weren't speaking. My parents were doing God knows what, pretending I didn't exist. The only ones who never changed were the kids, still happy, still asking questions I couldn't answer. The car was still in the driveway. I'd started the paperwork to return it. Of course, the dealership took it back. With a fee. 10% off the top gone. Just like that. It hurt more than I thought it would. Not just the money. The meaning behind it. That something I worked so hard for ended up being just another burned bridge. 2 days after the return, they showed up again. Of course they did. My dad stood on the porch like nothing had happened. No knock, no call, just rang the bell and waited. I opened the door. He didn't ask how I was. Didn't ask about the kids. He just said they needed help. $4,000. No explanation, no details. Just that. Said it calmly, like he was asking for a favor from an old friend. I looked at him and felt nothing. No guilt. No urge to solve anything. Just an overwhelming clarity. I said no, without thinking twice. He looked at me for a second longer, then turned around and left. No argument. No anger. Just the quiet sound of him stepping off the porch and walking away. Then he slammed the door behind him. Not hard. But hard enough to make a point. I haven't heard from either of them since. The kids still ask questions now and then, but less and less. And I never quite know what to say. I don't want to poison their view of family. But I won't lie to them either. Some nights I lie awake thinking maybe I should have just given them the car. Maybe it would have been easier. But that thought doesn't last long. They made their choice a long time ago. And now I've made mine. I didn't notice it right away. The peace. At first I mistook it for just silence. Like after a storm, when you're still waiting for thunder that never comes. Then one morning, I realized no one had mentioned them in weeks. No calls. No knocks. No Facebook posts tagged with guilt. Not even passive-aggressive comments through mutual friends. It was like they'd finally accepted it. Or maybe they just got tired of pretending. And life, somehow, didn't collapse. The kids were doing great. My daughter had a new friend at school and was learning how to braid her own hair. My son joined the school's chess club and beat a 5th grader in his second week. I was there for all of it. Every science fair, every game night, every dentist appointment. No one canceled last minute. No one pretended they forgot. I still had moments where the weight of everything tried to sneak back in. Mostly late at night, when the house was quiet and I'd glanced at that one drawer where the car keys used to be. The memory of the car wasn't even about the money anymore. It was what it symbolized. That I thought love could be earned with enough effort, enough sacrifice. And then, one Tuesday, karma finally tapped on their shoulder. A buddy of mine from work, whose wife is friends with Jeremy's wife, told me they were having serious financial problems. Apparently, my parents had co-signed a loan for Jeremy, a business venture or a renovation flip, or whatever trendy term he used for chasing money without a plan. The thing went south fast. The contractor skipped town. The buyer bailed. Suddenly, they were deep underwater. My parents tried to get Jeremy to cover it, but he was already pulling out. And without any leverage over him, they were stuck. House payments, overdue taxes, penalties. They started liquidating things. Stopped going out. Even missed Nathan's birthday party, according to Facebook, which I could still see through my daughter's account. I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. But I didn't feel sorry either. Then, 2 weeks later, they showed up. It was early evening. I was cooking dinner. My mom was the one who rang the bell this time. She looked thinner. A little older. No makeup. No forced expression. She didn't ask about the kids. She didn't offer a hug. She just stood there and said they were going through something hard, and that if I could help, maybe $4,000, it would really make a difference. She said it was only until they could sort things out. Said I'd get it back, of course. I asked her if she remembered the last time she asked me for money. If she remembered deleting me from the family page and posting a cake my children made with a caption that made it look like I chose not to be there. If she remembered the Christmases with Nathan's face front and center while my kids didn't even get a tag. She didn't respond. I told her she didn't need to explain anything else. That I hoped things would work out for them. But that I wasn't the bank. Not anymore. And definitely not for people who only showed up when things were burning down. Then I closed the door. No yelling. No slammed fists. No final insults. She just turned around and walked back to the car. Slowly. Like she wasn't expecting it to work, but had to try anyway. I didn't hear from either of them after that. Jeremy hasn't said a word to me in over a year. They went full silent. Like someone unplugged their connection to our lives. There were no more family dinners, no photos, no updates. Even the occasional second-hand gossip dried up. I don't think they even bothered to mention my name when talking to people now. The kids noticed at first, but eventually the questions stopped. They still have their moments, like when my daughter asked why we don't have big family dinners like her friend Lucy does, or when my son said he barely remembers Grandpa's voice. I tell them the truth I can live with: some families grow apart. Not because they want to, but because someone kept forcing the distance until it became permanent. Now it's just us. And weirdly, that's enough. We're okay. We laugh. We argue about what movie to watch. We eat bad pancakes on Saturday mornings and good cereal for dinner when we're too tired to cook. They lost us. And that's on them. It had been about 6 weeks since my mom came to the door asking for money. Since then, nothing. Not a text, not a voicemail, not even a fake birthday card addressed to the grandkids. I'd accepted that as the new normal. And honestly, it was working. Then something strange happened. It was a Tuesday afternoon, one of those ordinary days where nothing really happens. I was sorting the mail, bills, grocery flyers, junk, and then I saw it. A cream-colored envelope with no return address. The handwriting on the front wasn't familiar. Neat but shaky. I opened it, expecting a fake charity flyer or maybe some local campaign. It wasn't that. Inside was a single folded sheet of paper and a photo. The photo was old, definitely from a disposable camera. It was me, probably around 11, standing at a community center birthday party. There were balloons, a half-eaten cake, and my dad awkwardly crouched behind me. My mom was off to the side, barely in the frame. The note just said, "I found this while cleaning the garage. Thought you might want it. That was a good day. Dad." No apology. No questions. Just that. It felt off. Not sad, not warm. Just random. Like someone trying to tug on a memory they didn't even help build. I showed it to the kids that evening. My daughter asked why Grandpa would send that after not talking to us anymore. I didn't have an answer. My son looked at the photo and said, "You look kinda lonely." He wasn't wrong. I put the picture away in a drawer. I didn't respond. I'm not even sure they wanted a response. But it made me wonder. Why now? Why that photo? And why send it anonymously like it was some kind of message in a bottle? I don't know what they're playing at. But I've learned not to be surprised anymore.